Hey everybody, welcome. My name is Kevin Jones, and this is the Beginning Hunter Podcast. My goal with this program is to educate you and inform you on everything that you will need to know about becoming a new hunter. Today we're going to be discussing a topic that I think first and foremost needs to be addressed. So the whole, like I said, the whole purpose of this podcast is to inform people about what hunting is, from start to finish, what you're going to need to know to find success in the field, to be a well-rounded individual and a well-rounded hunter. Episode 1 was my intro, kind of about me, and then episode 2, I feel like the most important thing to address before we get any further is why we hunt. So why? Why would somebody decide to go out, spend money, go scouting, do all these things, find an animal, and kill it? Why would somebody ever want to do that? What's the purpose? And although I've been a hunter my entire life, I'm also very sensitive to what people who are not hunters, a lot of the misconceptions that come with that, and there's endless amounts of them, right? So the one that I seem to hear the most is that that people only hunt because they're bloodthirsty, right? That I would want to go out there just because I love seeing an animal die, and I have a weird sick mind, and that's all I want to do. That is the furthest thing from the truth, and I wanted to address that here. So this is episode 2, why we hunt. So the number one thing the first thing that I feel is the reason why I hunt personally, and a lot of other people that are in the hunting community, why they venture out into the field, is that connection to nature. So when I go out and I have my pack on and my bow and my arrow, and I'm looking for an animal, it's more of if the animal shows up, and if I can actually harvest an animal, that's more of like the cherry on top. But the bowl and the ice cream and everything else is me being out there. That's the value that I get out of it. Right when I go out in the field, I immediately find value in just being out in the field, being in that canyon, being in that timber, being in that meadow, and just exploring and just looking at things. You know, my full-time job is I sit behind a desk all day long. I look at the same computer screen and the same keyboard. And when I actually get to go out and hunt, I get to explore. I get to look around and to kind of follow my instincts and say, like, I don't know, where do I feel like animals will be? There's a lot that goes into it, where, you know, where do these animals like to hang out? Where's the best food source? Where's water sources? Things like that. But for me, a lot of it's like, how do I feel? Like, I'll still check all those places, but how do I feel? And, you know, that connection to nature is almost like spiritual. Like, it's, I really can't explain it. It's I guess if you've ever gone on a good hike, and when you get back, when you really look at it on paper, you walked from point A to point B, and you turn back around, right? But there's so much more than that. There's all the experiences, all the things you saw, all the beauty, all the birds, all the animals, all the, you know, the trees, the sun, the rock face, the creek, the river, the lake, like all of those things add into your experience. So it's so much more than just walking to a point and then turning around and coming back. And for me, that time when I'm out hunting, when I'm out exploring, I'm out, you know, connecting with nature, it just gives me time to reflect on things. You know, in our society today, we're all so busy. We all have you know, what do they say? 10 pounds of, what's the saying? It's you have 10 pounds of things to do, but you have a 5-pound sack. Like, we're all bursting at the seams. We all have, everybody's busy. I don't even know somebody that can honestly say, oh no, I'm not busy. I all the time in the world. Everybody finds things to do, right? But having that time to reflect on, you know, your life, and, you know, I'm a dad, so I spend a lot of time thinking about my kids and thinking about how I am as a husband, you know, how I am as an employee, how am I as a person. You know, it's having that quiet time is so important. You know, when I was younger, when I first started hunting, I didn't really find that time to do that. I didn't. That's just not what I did. I didn't have a whole lot of things going on, frankly. But the older I get now, it's critical. It's your time to kind of decompress, unwind, spend some time with yourself and your own thoughts. So that's kind of the first thing. One of the first reasons why we hunt and why I hunt is just that connection to nature, that time to reflect, and that kind of spiritual connection to my environment, to the animal, frankly. Number two is the second reason why I hunt is I know exactly where my food comes from. So when I'm out hunting, and say I hunt here in Oregon, and say I'm on top of a canyon wall, glassing down, or looking with my binoculars, looking down, I find an animal, and 2.5 hours later, I end up making a perfect broadside shot with an arrow. That animal runs off and falls 30 yards away, and that animal dies. There is no question that I know exactly where that food that I'm going to eat comes from. I know that deer lived its life in that area. I know that deer died on that hillside. I know that deer wasn't from a farm and didn't escape. You know what I mean? Like nobody's chasing these deer and injecting them and giving them all sorts of different hormones and vaccinations and stuff like that. There's nothing. It's a wild animal. They're not caged. They're nothing. They're a wild animal living in the wild. So I know when I take that deer and when I take it to a butcher or when I butcher it myself, I know that what that animal is what I get. Like there's no confusing it. So that having that knowledge of, hey, this is like, the purest form of protein that you can have. You can't go to the store and be like, oh, I want the perfect steak made from the perfect, cow that has never been anything. Like, no, like there's a lot that goes into those. But for me, knowing that if I shoot a deer and I cut it up and I wrap it and I freeze it and I pull it out and I slap it down, on a cast iron skillet and I fry it up, I know that that's where that animal came from. So number two, knowing where my food comes from is the second reason why I hunt. Third reason why I hunt is that connection to the harvest. In our society today, people go to the grocery store and they go to the meat counter, and then they look around and they think to themselves, oh wow, so cool, steaks on sale this week, or pork chops, let's stock up on those, or chicken, let's put some chicken breast. People focus on what's in front of them, right? Which is meat. It's just there on the counter. There's a whole stack of it. You kind of choose the one that you want, and you go on your merry way. You pay your price, and you go home, and you cook, and that's all. What I really like is having that connection to the harvest. So when I think a lot of people forget that when they go to the grocery store and when they find that steak that's on sale, that steak was an animal, and that animal died. And the people that are eating it don't know who killed it. They don't trace it back to be like, like the guy at the at farm number 123, Greg. I know Greg. Greg killed this one, and this chunk of meat is from the cow that Greg shot 4 days ago. That's not how it works. So you just go and you scoop it up, and you're on your merry way. Having that connection to the harvest, I feel, is incredibly important to me, because if I know that I'm the one who had to kill that animal, I just feel like you're cutting out the middleman. You're not having somebody else I'll even say this, you're not having somebody else do your dirty work for you. You're the one doing it. If you're going to eat something, I feel you should be the one to kill it. You're taking a life. A lot of people, that's kind of like the ugly underbelly, right, of the meat market and about eating meat. But I feel like that's just the right thing to do. Like if it were up to me, I would only eat meat from animals that I've harvested. Not that good of a hunter yet, working on it, but it's animals have to die for you to eat. And the animals that I kill when I'm bow hunting, the deer, that I harvest are they've had the best life that an animal can have. You're free range. You're not in a pen. You're not being injected. You're not standing. You're not being fed stuff to fatten you up so that it can kill you in 8 months. Like you're on your own, and you can go wherever you want. So again, number 3 of the reason why I hunt is my connection to the harvest. I just feel it's critical. Number 4, the fourth reason why I choose to hunt is a family tradition. Frankly, I started it when I was 6 months old. My family, my mom threw me, my brother, and in a little playpen made out of cardboard boxes, and that was our first time. And every year, it just kind of grew on us. And I know that's not the same with a lot of people. I'm just giving you an example of the fact that for us, it's absolutely a family tradition, but it all had to start somewhere. We started because my grandpa, Larry, when he was a school superintendent and a teacher, and the only time that he could go hunt is in December. So he found the only hunt offered in the state of Oregon in December, and he took my uncle. They went up to this place that we go hunting, and took them. They knew nothing about hunting, and they hunted and they filled a cow elk tag, and that was it. That was hooked. Like, we're going back next year, so they started to go back, and then again and again and again and again. That was in the 70s. So here we are. It's 2019, and I just got back from the same place that they've been going to, or that we've all been going to since the mid 70s. So having that tradition is critical. And even if it's not hunting, say you decide to take your parents, your wife, your kids, whoever, whatever kind of family situation you have, even if it's not hunting, I feel like it's really important and critical that you find things that you enjoy doing as family. If it's golfing, go golfing. If it's tennis, if it's basketball, if it's sailing, boating, kayaking, snorkeling, tree climbing, zip lining, whatever it is, find something to do. For us, that thing that we all do as a family and together, that's always been hunting, and that's just what we do. So that was the last one is the family tradition. It's grown on us. It's kept us good. It's kept us together, and that's what we've always done. So like I said, before we started anything else, I have a lot of things that we're going to cover in this podcast. I just wanted to address those straight out of the gate. So just to recap, connection to nature gives me time to reflect. That was the first one. Second one, I like to know where my food comes from. I sure do. Third one is my connection to the harvest. I feel like you cut out the middleman and you do it yourself. That's a good way to do it. And the last one is family tradition. That's it. It's easy as that. So guys, I'm just going to kind of keep chopping away at this. If you guys are finding value in this, hit the subscribe button. Follow along. There's going to be a lot of information coming down the pipeline at you. And I guess that's it for this one. Again, my name is Kevin Jones, and this is the Beginning Hunter Podcast, and we will see you next time. Thanks.